Well, hello there, everybody. I am joined now by our guest, who is also the host of this show, Adam Lamparello. Why don't you take it away?
Welcome, everyone, to Rutgers at the voice of college football. Sorry for that technical glitch. We fixed that quickly, and we're ready to have a great show for you. I'm here with my fantastic co-host, Gabriel Pickup, and as always, we welcome your comments and calls. If you like the show, hit that like and subscribe button. Today, we've got a great show for you. We're going to talk about some updates for Rutgers football, and then we're going to discuss the 5 keys to success for Rutgers football for the 2025-26 season. Gabe, why don't you start us off with those updates?
Yeah, so Adam, going forward, they will now be referred to as the Pickup Dates. Because that is my name, Gabriel Pickup. Don't wear it out. And I am here to provide you updates every week moving forward. So, without further ado, let's get started on this Coins new segment, Pickup Dates. First update is 4-star recruit interior offensive lineman Jared Smith is down to 4 teams. And we got some good company here. Ready? There's Georgia, Georgia Tech, Auburn, and Rutgers. So what do you think? Do you like our odds? We've been getting a lot of offensive linemen lately, so I'm kind of crossing my fingers.
You said Georgia, Georgia Tech, Auburn, and Rutgers. My feeling is that Rutgers is on the outside looking in when you got schools like that, particularly Georgia and Auburn. Those SEC schools are going to pay him some money, probably more than Rutgers will. I see him going probably to Georgia. The Georgia Bulldogs love those big offensive linemen, but the fact that we're still in it down to the Final Four is reason for some optimism. So I would say I'm cautiously optimistic, but ultimately not expecting it to materialize.
See, why I am optimistic is because we're still in it. If we were a joke of a school that recruits would have looked past when given the opportunity of especially Georgia and Auburn, he would have done so already. Why is he giving us a chance? Because maybe he believes in something that we're not seeing. So I'm optimistic. I think we're going to get him, and that's a hot take because those are some really good schools, but something's telling me he doesn't care about how good the other schools are.
Yeah, well, I think it probably has something to do with the great recruiting efforts of Coach Giano and his staff, the culture that they're building, and I think they've got him sold, at least in part, on that culture and what Rutgers football can be and what it can do for him personally as a player and ultimately as a person. I see we have Austin in the chat today. Austin, unfortunately, is a Denver Nuggets fan, and the Oklahoma Thunder, unfortunately, exterminated the Denver Nuggets in Game 7. But, Austin, you have our sympathy. We hope you call in later. All right, any other updates for us?
Yeah, so I got 3 more here. The next one, also offensive tackle related. 3-star offensive tackle Cameron Green has committed to your Rutgers Scarlet Knights. South Jersey native. So I don't think he was going to Rowan or Ryder because Ryder doesn't have a football program and Rowan is Rowan. No offense, Rowan. So Rutgers is fairly close to home that we can say he's staying home. He is actually the 9th commit of the 2026 high school class. 2nd offensive lineman joining Donovan Johnson. 6'7", 315 pounds. I think he's going to be a beast. 3 stars that's a solid number for a guy with that posture.
Well, I'm going to slightly disagree here. I'm going to tell you why. I'm from North Jersey. So, South Jersey's nice and everything, but it's not North Jersey. And the second thing is he's 6'7", 315, and only a 3-star? Something is not matching up here.
Oh, Adam. Making up these team names. Those are schools.
That's it? Just, Adam?
Well, I'm used to it at this point. I don't even have, a lot to say. Last week I was called a hater. I was called irrational. I don't know what to say to it.
I didn't say those things. I was just a bystander. Austin was correctly diagnosing the problem. But how could you be 6'7", 315 and be a 3-star? Something's not working.
You know how many 6'7", 315 and bigger are 2-star, 1-star, 0-star? A heck of a lot.
If you're that big in a South Jersey high school, you should be pancaking these silly defensive linemen in South Jersey. The fact that he was able to do that leads me to say this was not an update. This was sadly a pickup date.
Oh, is that what we're using as a negative connotation now?
Well, you're the one who made up the phrase. You thought you were so clever. So I'm just.
I am very clever. I'm clever forever, and you can follow my endeavors. So yes, he commits, and he's not the only offensive lineman committing to Rutgers. Justin Cesare, offensive lineman, is transferring from Rutgers to New Haven. So here's the thing, right? He spent 3 years as a New Haven guy from Orange, New Jersey, going from blue and yellow to the luxurious scarlet red. Here's my take on him, right? Business management major. So let's see how he handles business as a Rutgers Knight.
Oh, you're clever again. He's on fire today. Watch out. You might get burned. So New Haven is where Yale University is. That's New Haven, Connecticut. So what is this New Haven you're talking about? Is there some other university there?
UNH, yeah.
So we're getting a transfer from the University of New Haven?
Yep. What, you're not thrilled about it?
I don't believe that any further commentary is necessary. My prediction is that he will stay at the University of New Haven where he belongs, and will not contaminate Rutgers with any mediocrity.
All right, Austin. We'll talk about that.
I just joke. I mean, if this guy from New Haven is a stud, we welcome him, and he can certainly, add a lot to the offensive line. So welcome to the Scarlet Knights, and we're rooting for you.
Yes, we are. And I got one more update. If you were as thrilled about New Haven commit and South Jersey raised 3 stars as I think you are, then you're going to love this next news, Adam. And that is Caleb Johnston transfers from Washington to Rutgers. And guess what his position is? It's not quarterback, not wide receiver, not running back.
It's probably something like long snapper or something.
Oh, how'd you know?
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's long snapper. We got.
So the one transfer we get from a legitimate D1 school, it just sits there and hikes the foot with a long snapper.
Hey, you gotta be really good to do that. That's a lot of.
As far as these pickup dates go, I have to say, the long snapper, New Haven, a 1-star from South Jersey.
Hey, three.
What's the difference?
The difference, speaking of difference, is you should know how to do math and make sure that you get the number correctly when addressing these guys. I don't think he wants to be addressed as a 1-star. That's not how you get someone on a podcast, Adam.
Yeah, when I see him, I'm going to give him a slap is what I'm going to do.
He's going to beat you the F up if you try to give him a slap.
He knows we're just joking. We support these guys. No, these are good updates, and we wish them all the best of success in all seriousness. So,
yes.
Good pickup dates, and I think of pickup dates. I think of a girl and a guy getting together randomly on some game show. Pickup dates, 7 p.m. every Monday. See what dates worked. And
I'll take that because there were a few instances growing up, right, where my name Gabriel was shortened to Gabe, and if you say Gabe pickup really quickly, it sounds like something else. So I'll take pickup dates. I'll pick up dates over being gay pickup.
Gay pickup.
Not that there's anything wrong with it. Just the terminology was negative connotation.
No, we love everyone of all diverse backgrounds. But as far as these pickup dates go, it comes down to you're promoting a 0-star from South Jersey.
Oh my God! How did he lose a star in 10 seconds?
Hey, news travels fast. You got to be ready. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You know where else it travels fast? NBA rumors and news. You should give that a follow on Instagram.
I will say the Knicks did have a good season this year, and we have to applaud them. They did try their hardest, but the Pacers were too much for them, unfortunately. And it is what it is.
Yeah, well, from one guy in the chat mourning the loss of his team to someone with his team still alive, let's not get those two things confused right now, huh?
Well, look, maybe they can have a pickup game, the Knicks and the Nuggets, when the Knicks get eliminated. We'll call it the Gabe pickup game.
The Gabe pickup game? Are we gonna pick up a date for that, or is that just like a solo attendee thing?
No, we're gonna have dates for it. I'm gonna take somebody named Melanie, and you're gonna take someone named Christopher.
Hey, add to that.
I thought you said it was all okay. Come on, Gabe, we're having fun.
It's all for me. Anyways, let's move on to your
guys. Week. Sorry for the humor, but sometimes
NBA humor and news.
We're heading toward Memorial Day weekend, so as the summer approaches, we all start to get a bit happier. So we're going to go to our second segment: the 5 keys to success for Rutgers Scarlet Knights football in 2025. What are these 5 keys to success so that Rutgers can have a winning record, be competitive in the Big Ten, and ultimately maybe even challenge for a college football playoff spot? We're going to start at number 5, and since Gabe started out with his updates today. Why don't you start out with your number 5?
Well, my number 6 is that it's spelled Cancun, Cancun, not Kokan. Although that might be another place that I don't know about. That's my number 6.
So these vicious insults towards Gabe Pickup and you championing a 0-star offensive lineman.
All right. I thought you were going to say -1. I thought it was just going to keep going down.
I thought about it, but I figured 0 was a good place to stay.
All right. So my number 5 key for success, right? And Austin, I love you, buddy. I'm just joking. My number 5 key is...
I'll try to compensate.
It's a bit ironic, right? My number 5 key is ignorance. Ignore what the hell the bookies are saying because you will be underdogs almost every week. And realistically, you got 3 or 4 teams that you're going to be favored against. So ignore what the hell the bookies are saying. Ignore what these reporters are saying. And just channel the inner greatness that got you to playing college football and be on that team level, and you might just be okay.
Yeah, that's always so important. I remember Nick Saban, when I was going to Alabama, Nick Saban would say this constantly: forget the external factors and focus on what you can control. Forget what the media is saying, how good you are, how not good you are, how you're going to lose, you're not going to lose. You got to focus on what you can control. And when you do that, that's when you're truly focused. So that's a good start there. My number 5 is first down success. I think that Rutgers, to be successful 65 to 75% of the time, I want to see them getting 4+ yards on first down, because that enables them to be versatile in their play selection on second and third down. It doesn't get them into predictable situations, because I don't think Rutgers has the talent to be able to compensate for those third and longs, second and longs. So what I'd like to see is a lot of 2nd and 5s and 2nd and 6s. That's going to open up the offense. It's going to make us less predictable. And I think that's going to bring out the talent because of the ability to call plays to keep the defense, on its toes. So first down success for me is a big thing in 2025.
That's a great point, because I will tell you, my number 1 most irritable thing I witnessed out of my New York Jets last season was the play calling of Coach Robert Saleh on first down. It was always just a handoff to the middle, and it was predictable, especially in the AFC East, where you have this meat on the inside and these killer linebackers. And every single time, it would get a yard or 2, maybe lose a couple of yards. And that would set the tone for the entire game. The good thing is this kind of segues into my number 4 key to success here. And if we want to be successful in first down, you know how we do it? We get more than 3 or 4 yards by being effective in the passing game, and not just effective, but effectively distributing the ball to our different options. We have a lot more weapons this year, in my opinion. Last year, we had like 2 or 3 that were effective. You could really say 2, because Christian Dremel is more of like a versatile hybrid kind of guy than strictly a receiver. But this year, we have Colin Weber. We just got him as a tight end, number 9 transfer tight end in the nation. We got Campbell up the middle as our running back, and he's a hybrid back, so he likes to catch the ball. Ben Black, who is an up-and-coming stud at receiver. I believe he's wide receiver 3 on the outside, but 4 overall with DT Sheffield. Speaking of DT Sheffield, he's one of the – I'll make the argument. He's like a top 10, maybe top 5 transfer receiver. So he's going to be a stud. And then obviously we have Strong and Duff, who come back to the school. And that's a lot of weapons to have distributing to. So that's what we need to do, is we can't feel happy chucking to 1 or 2 guys. We need to spread the wealth. And that's how you get effective yards on first down, is not just relying on the running game, because everyone loves to just run the ball on first down, get a couple yards. But if you want those first downs to be consistent, you have to pass the ball on first down too.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think it's going to be critical to see how the offensive coordinator calls those pass plays. All right. We've got to have really strategic play calling, great routes. The receivers have to run those routes, perfectly. And most importantly, the timing has to be there. And I think with the time that Ethan has had with his receivers, it's going to be there. So that's a really good point. For me, number 4 was to be in the plus category on turnover margin. I think one of the things that hurt us tremendously last year was losing a turnover battle in critical games. For example, against Nebraska, that 14-7 loss where we had a couple turnovers and lost the turnover battle really, really hurt us. And I think that's also the case, as we saw against Wisconsin. Now, I'm not sure if we were negative in the turnover battle there, but I do believe we had a couple turnovers.
Yeah.
Well, again, it comes back to when you're a team like Rutgers that has a lot of talent, but that doesn't have talent on the level of Ohio State, Oregon, Michigan, you cannot afford any mistakes. You can't afford to have a no gain on first down. You can't afford to lose a turnover battle. You got to have polish. And if they have that polish, that's what's going to make them more competitive against those teams. So turnover margin for me sits at number 4.
Yeah, that's a really good point, especially, talking about the talent, not distribution, the talent differential between us and one of those contending schools. And that's really key on why you need to limit the turnovers. My number 3 is a running game that can prove to be effective when needed. We have Antoine Raymond, who is a power back, and depending on the website, they'll list him as our RB1, but CJ Campbell is technically the RB1 as of this moment. And he's a hybrid back. So the thing is, he'll be there to get the ball on the backfield too. Raymond here and there, but Raymond's especially going to be up the middle on those 3rd and 1s, 3rd and 2s, 3rd and 3s, those 2nd and 6s. And that's the opportunity, I think, to really push the ball down the field and make sure that Callie McManus isn't always the one that has the pressure. And I think that they can be effective, but they need to be effective in those crucial moments in the fourth quarter, up 3 with 2 minutes left at your opponent's 38, 3rd and 3. That's the opportunity I think we need to convert.
Yeah, that's critical. A very good point. I think we have a stable of running backs this year with CJ Campbell, Antoine Raymond, and Jashawn Benjamin. That what we can do is we can spread out the carries a bit and keep those running backs fresh. And with a 3-pronged attack, that's something that we didn't have last year. Last year was all Kyle Mononga, and as great as he was, it did make us somewhat predictable. And against great teams, that's going to hurt you. So I like that. I've got, for number 3, I've got win 4 out of the 5 plays that ultimately decide a game against great competition. As you'll see against really good teams, it's typically about 5 plays, 5 critical plays that decide the game. You saw that with Georgia and Notre Dame last year. For example, the kickoff return that Georgia allowed, the fumble that Georgia had deep in Notre Dame's territory. These plays really make the difference between winning and losing. Rutgers hasn't been winning those 5 plays that decide a game. And Nebraska was a perfect example where they had the ball 1st and goal to 3 and couldn't punch it in on 4 plays. So in addition, to having first down success, having positive turnover margin, though doing all those little things to be polished and not make errors, they've got to win 4 of those 5 plays. If they do that, we would have beaten Nebraska last year and we would have beaten Illinois. So that's a key for me.
Yeah. And really we haven't been winning those plays for several years now. So we need to change something when it comes to those clutch moments or those key points. And I think that can lean into, having the effective running game when needed or being effective at distributing the ball and passing. But
yeah, I think when it comes down to those 5 plays, my message to the team would be do your job. Every single person focus on that one play, having a life and history of its own. Do your job.
Do your job, do it well. You know why you're there. You know why you have the chance at making some money, not just in the league, but in college too.
Right.
So my number 2 point to success is we signed all these guys, right, from James Madison, et cetera, at least in the interior D linemen. And we don't know how they'll translate from those schools to Big Ten play. And my number 2 is actually the defensive linemen need to be effective at rushing the passer, because we don't know how they'll translate. We do know their numbers are impressive. Doug Blue, Eli, for example, James O'Neill, or Eric O'Neill, rather. I was getting his school and his name confused. These guys need to be the same level of effectiveness, if not more effective, at rushing these quarterbacks like, for example, like whoever's – I think there's still a battle going on at Ohio State. Whoever wins that battle, because, no matter who wins, they're going to look like the best quarterback in the division outside of, your guy up at Penn State, Drew Aller. And Drew Aller, for example, too, we're facing Oregon this year. we need these guys, these quarterbacks, to feel the pressure of our interior linemen and not just relying on blitzes. Because if we rely on blitzing too much, all of a sudden it's not fair to our defensive secondary.
Totally agree with you. I mean, look at the Philadelphia Eagles when they won the Super Bowl. 4 down linemen created havoc for the Chiefs and, for Patrick Mahomes. Now, we need to have 4 down linemen that are going to disrupt the quarterback. I don't care about sacks. I care about, are you disrupting the quarterback's timing and creating havoc for that offense? Because once you start relying on blitzes, what do you get? You get the play against Illinois where you had somebody wide open in the middle of the field and the game is lost. You can't leave your defenders vulnerable like that.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great point.
And I'm not saying get rid of blitzes completely. I'm just saying that we don't need to use them as much as a lot of other programs if our interior lineman is stacked up enough.
Oh, yeah. I mean, blitzes are great when they're used strategically, but when you're using blitzes to compensate for deficiencies on the D line, it ain't going to be helpful.
And our linebackers are too good to be blitzing the quarterback anyways.
All right. I agree. Good point. My number 2 is Rutgers has to win the time of possession battle in every game. And the reason is because the defense is still going to have some issues with depth. They're going to have some issues with cohesiveness because we do have a lot of transfers coming in. We can't keep them on the field that long. If they're going to be on the field for 80-plus plays, we're going to lose, both because of fatigue and because I don't think our defense is good enough to repeatedly stop Ohio State, Oregon, and Penn State. So winning that time of possession battle is key. And to do that, you got to have long, sustained drives, and you got to win that turnover battle. And if you can do that, that's going to mitigate or minimize, what the offenses do in terms of damaging plays. Because, I mean, we know Penn State's going to score points. We know Oregon's going to score points. We know Ohio State's going to score points. But if you win the turnover battle and you do it substantially, maybe Ohio State gets 27 points instead of 40 points, and that can make the difference in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, who's really good at controlling the ball? Kyle Monangai. So kind of sucks that we're losing him in the backfield. He was really good at getting first downs on 3 plays. Not 1 or 2 plays, but 3 plays, extending the clock. But it's okay. I'm sure. It's a new opportunity, not just a loss. I learned that that's what NO stands for, is not no, but new opportunity. So my number 1, though, key to success is for our guy Cam Miller to be a superstar. Because we need that defensive secondary to be throwing to one guy and one guy only, and that is not Cam Miller. It is Jacoby Henderson or Bo Masco, because Jacoby's listed as the nickelback, but I have a feeling that Bo Masco is going to be out there a lot at corner.
True.
Really, just whoever Cam Miller is guarding, because he's going to be guarding the other team's number 1 receiver every time, going to be man on man. Whoever he's guarding cannot get the ball thrown to, because I think Cam Miller is really that good. So I think that's my number 1 key, is we got to make the opponent's passing game one-dimensional. And if that happens, then we're going to have a damn good secondary.
Yeah, and we're going to make them one-dimensional if we really can create havoc on the defensive line, stop the run game, make sure that the first down success rate of the opponent is about 25 to 30%. And then with that secondary, we give them the freedom to, instead of blitzing, we can drop 7 or 8, and then that's going to create a problem for opposing offenses. My number 1 is a very simple one, and it's called mindset. Rutgers has to believe that they can compete and win in Columbus, home against Oregon, home against Penn State, because, Rutgers, I think in their second game or third game, plays Norfolk State. They need to go into that Ohio State game in Columbus, the Oregon and Penn State games, with the same mindset that they go into against Norfolk State, that we can win, that this team can compete with the best teams in the country. Because if they don't have that mindset, it doesn't matter if the 4 other keys that I listed are met, they're still going to lose. So mindset is going to be the key to building a championship culture and a championship team.
It's a key and it's a necessity. I can't disagree. I can't agree with you more, Adam. If they go in every week thinking that they're favored, then we're going to win 2 or 3 games this year. It's got to be that underdog mindset that, like I said, you can embrace the underdog mindset without thinking you're going to lose. And that's what I think separates us this year.
Yeah, and I think, this has been a really great discussion because I hope some of the Rutgers players and Rutgers coaches watch this episode, because these keys are something that should be pasted on the walls of their locker room And on their, so that they every time they walk in there, they see first down success, turnover margin, win those 5 plays, time of possession, and most importantly, mindset. Because if you're going to keep chopping, that's the way to keep chopping. So,
I think my pickup dates guys are going to keep on chopping, and they're going to keep on thriving too.
Well, we can always hope. I mean, but so I think you had a very good start today. So we will from now on, we will be having our pickup dates for every single show at the beginning. Yep. Share with you updates about Rutgers, the voice of college.
Just in time.
But before we go, we have one of our favorite people calling in. Unfortunately, in a very sad state, as is Denver Nuggets, like the New York Knicks, had their season end.
Oh, come on.
Well, the Knicks have a reprieve of a year. They call it a stay of execution in criminal law. But we'll hear Austin's thoughts. Always great to have Austin on the show. Austin, thanks so much for being here. How you doing, buddy?
How you holding in there?
I'm doing pretty good, fellas. Doing pretty good. I wish I could for what happened yesterday, but you find out what kind of team you have off a loss, and only one way to go is to get better.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You should talk to Gabe about this, because Gabe is going to be feeling like you at this time.
Let me believe, man. We still have a 1 in 4 chance.
Yeah. It's
Gabe,
it's just it's just one of them. I don't know, fellas. I just don't know.
Yeah, well, listen, we sympathize with you. I felt this way, that
is a loud rooster.
Yeah.
Not too long ago when we lost to the Dodgers. So we've all been there. We sympathize with you, but it'll get better, right, Gabe?
Yeah, both New York teams lost to the Dodgers that year. And, the thing is, you guys put up a really good fight against the title favorites. I know you're not in this call anymore, but my point still stands. That was a crazy fight, going to 7 against the title favorites. And I don't know if you lost your power or you're trying to murder that rooster. I don't condone that. But I think that's a worthy fight, and you should be proud.
I don't think he's going to murder the rooster. I think the rooster is going to murder poor Austin. Austin,
just like his poor Nuggets. You know what? Maybe he got offended at the thought of Nuggets, and the rooster is trying to get back some revenge.
Well, roosters are people too.
Oh, okay. Let's switcheroo there.
But yeah, like we were saying, hey. The Denver Nuggets lost, but that's sports. Yankees lost to the Dodgers. Yankees lost in 2001 after September 11th to the Arizona Diamondbacks. It hurts, but that's why we love sports so much. We were in it emotionally, and it's always great. And one day they'll be winners.
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome.
Okay, let's try this again.
Yeah, you're good. Did you hear my point about how you should be proud of the Nuggets instead of feeling sad?
He didn't need to hear your point. That's fine.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So,
the rooster episode.
So, I'd heard what you said, Gabe, about taking the Thunder to 7. I'm extremely proud of what they did. I mean, to take them to 7, being injured, not healthy, very proud. And be honest with you, I mean, things are only going to get better. I mean, we've got the best player in the world today. I'm feeling confident going forward that the window to win a title is still very much open.
And who knows? Maybe Aaron Gordon not playing more games is a blessing in disguise moving forward.
Hey, to take the Thunder to 7 games is impressive, and that's something you should be proud of. Few teams could possibly do that.
Some mic issues, I suppose.
There might be some mic issues or some reception issues with our good friend Austin as he drops out of the show. But Austin should be proud of the Nuggets. Going 7 games with the team that's favored to win the NBA championship. You got to give them a lot of credit for their heart and their determination. If Rutgers can show that type of heart like the Nuggets did, we're in for a special season potentially.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure he was going to make some comments about our rankings of priority. And I'll ask some questions that he was probably going to ask. Of the rankings, do you think, was it chronologically based, or do you believe, Adam, that how you ranked your ratings is actually in the order of most importance?
I don't think that they're necessarily in the order of most importance. What I do think is that Rutgers has to win 3 of those 5 keys in every game to have a chance to win. So I wouldn't say that winning time of possession is necessarily more important than turnover margin, but I would say they have to win 3 of the 5 in this category.
Yeah, fair enough.
Austin joins us again. Obviously believes in reincarnation. So welcome back, Austin.
Here we go. I'm finally in a better spot.
Nice.
This dang Kentucky internet. I'm so sorry.
All good, brother.
So sorry, guys. Now we're good. But to your point, though, Gabe, and then about the Aaron Gordon injury, I think, honestly, if he didn't do what he did to his hamstring, I admire the guy for playing anyway.
Yes.
But if he was healthy, we could have won that game. I really do. There was nothing about this series against the Thunder that didn't say that we couldn't win.
Yeah, I think so. But it's a good thing that he gets some rest now, because he could have injured himself very badly long term.
Yes. And as for your Knicks, Gabe, before we get to Rutgers, because I do have a couple comments on this topic. How you feeling about the Knicks, though, real fast, Gabe? I know Adam may have some thoughts, being
he'll definitely have
close to
some
the New
thoughts.
Yorks.
I don't know.
But how are you feeling about the Knicks?
I still don't know if he's a Knicks fan or just likes to berate the Knicks or what. But I like the Knicks' chances because, on paper we're better than the Pacers. But the West, that's a dog, man. I don't want to face either of those teams just because the Timberwolves, it would be like cool, either Randall and Dante get their ring, or the Knicks do. But I don't want to hate those guys for a series. It's like imagine how tough it was for the Thunder fans to root against Westbrook.
Yeah.
And also,
if not to cut you off, Gabe, but I remember when we played Carmelo when we traded him to the Knicks. That was heartbreaking for me to root against Melo. Because he was our cornerstone.
He was, but I mean, it's very honorable that he gave you guys a future instead of leaving him for agency.
Yeah, this is true. But I want to hear Adam's thoughts on this, because I know he's always got something to say about your Knicks, Gabe.
He does.
Well, I thought it was the most interesting series I may have ever seen, because on one hand, you have the Celtics going up by 20 points in games 1 and 2 and losing, then blowing out the Knicks in game 3, then being ahead by 14 in game 5 and losing. So there were moments when the Knicks were getting absolutely destroyed, and then there were times when the Knicks were absolutely dominating. So what I saw from that series was the Knicks have the potential to compete with absolutely any team, and sure, could they win it? Yes, but the inconsistency is what concerns me, and I think that might be their downfall in the long run.
Yeah, it's fair. That's a rational take by Adam. The basketball. Wow.
And Austin, as you know, Gabe keeps hurling insults at me. We're going to have to help Gabe.
Yeah, you'll have to help me if they lose to the Pacers, that's for sure. Because last year we were rattled by injuries. This year we're fully healthy. So we'll see.
Here's the thing. As far as losing to the Pacers go, I could see it happening. Yeah. I really could. But
they shouldn't.
I feel like everything's lining up for – Man, why is my internet so bad today?
Hey, we still hear you, brother.
And even if you're not here, we still hear you, and that's why Gabe was asking questions in your absence. But that's okay, Austin. We anticipate being on later this week with another live show with some new updates that we predict are coming as we've kind of behind the scenes things are starting to develop, but we'll just leave that for another show. But Austin's obviously having some internet problems. We love Austin. Always a great commentator. Always comes with some good discussion. And here, for the 4th time, we call it an encore, is Austin.
This is the Austin episode.
No, this is the pickup dates.
Pickup dates, but then the Austin episode.
Well, yeah, it seems like Austin's having some problems. So, Gabe, you have some final thoughts on what I think is an episode that really I hope the Rutgers players and coaches watch. Not like they don't know all this, of course, but I think that these are important keys that the team should remember going forward.
Yeah, so my final thoughts are you can't pick and choose when you want to follow this set of criteria. It's really just about you need to move on with this set of criteria and apply it every week. You can't put off the gas. So
I agree.
we're done with this call, which no rush, by the way, Austin, where we were just saying we were just wrapping up our thoughts for the episode, but feel free to go ahead because we like hearing what you have to say.
Okay. This Kentucky internet's driving me nuts. Okay, here we go. Now I think we should be able to get the thoughts off. So, as for our show topic here, I like what you all said, and I agree pretty much with all of them. But the one thing for me that I think makes every successful team, and not just Rutgers, but for every team, but especially Rutgers, because Adam, we talk about building culture. Gabe, we talk about building hard, building something special and making it mean something. For me, as Nick Saban would always say, his greatest quote was, the greater you have to sacrifice for the greater good. And is the Rutgers players willing to do that? Because let's just say that for me is the biggest key. Are they willing to sacrifice for the greater good? Because if they do that, there isn't nothing Rutgers cannot do this year.
That's a great point, and I think it goes back to that issue of culture. You have to have people with the mindset to sacrifice for the greater good, to do their job, and to be all in on the team like Michigan was in 2023. And that's going to be a challenge with all these transfers coming in. But if they have that mindset and build that culture, that could lead to a very special season, like you said.
Especially because not all of them are seniors.
Right.
So they're still in here trying to establish the culture long term. There's a couple seniors, but I'm sure they want to go out with a bang too.
Absolutely.
And here's the thing. And here's the thing too about that. What is the goal for Rutgers? That's the number one thing you got to establish too. What is the goal? Is the goal to win it all? Is the goal to make a bowl game? Is the goal to win 8 games? That's where we start. So let's say for 2025, the goal is to win 9 games. How do we sacrifice the greater good to get there? Well, maybe 8th in one game only has to throw the ball 10 times because the running backs are going bananas. Or maybe the running backs don't get as many touches. Or maybe the defense is turning the other team over.
Yeah,
go ahead.
It's funny because Josh Allen, starting out the year last year, he only threw the ball, like 2 times in the first half of first week, and then he ended up winning MVP. So you can't count out players because they change up their play style. It's all for the team. You'll have a lesser role certain weeks. That's why I'm saying distribution of the football is one of the most important aspects of the offense.
Yeah, it goes back to that Michigan team in 2023. They were a complete team that sacrificed for the greater good when it was necessary. A great example is the Big Ten championship game when they played Iowa. Would they run the ball like 32 straight times?
Yeah.
Dave McCarthy didn't need to throw it, and they didn't throw it, and he was perfectly fine with that. That's a championship team, and it's no surprise they won the national championship.
You know what? They had 2 great running backs that year, and they split the ball between them and Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards. We have 2 guys. Maybe they can turn into Mario and Sonic. Sonic and Knuckles, and CJ Keith.
Yeah.
Mario and Sonic. I was thinking about the video game.
But to your all's point, though, that's what it means. Sacrifice the greater good is being unselfish and team victory. I think that's the biggest key. Because let's be honest, would it be nice to see Athan go out there and throw 6 touchdowns and light it up and get all this national media praise? Yes, it would be great. It would put Rutgers back on the map. But you want to know something though, bigger than that? If they go out there and beat one of the big 3, Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, and it doesn't matter how they get it done, they're going to be on the map that week. Everyone's going to talk about them.
Yeah, that's
no matter when if we beat either of those three teams, we are guaranteed beating a ranked opponent. And that would be the first time in like 10, 15 years we did that.
Yeah, and you know what? We don't want to have a situation where Ethan throws for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns and we lose. Instead, if that does happen, we want Ethan to say, you know what? I don't care about my stats. I care that we lost. And that's the culture we're trying to build, and that's necessary if we're going to be successful.
And my second biggest key for you all is control what you could control. Control your narrative. You control what you put out on that field. If you go out there and lay an egg against Ohio and the media is just bashing, Rutgers, you could do something to change that. Only you guys can. So for me, it's control your narrative. Control your destiny.
Right. We need to be on a podium or something.
Because you can't let external distract you, whether it's good things like people praising you or people criticizing you. When you focus on what you can control, you put yourself in a position to make the right choices and decisions every day to achieve progress towards your goal. And all those external things, it's noise, just that. And many a team have really fallen prey to that. Like the New England Patriots, when they were 15-0 going against those 10-6 Giants, everybody thought it was going to be a blowout. And I'm sure it got into some of those players' heads. Well, guess what? They went there and they lost. So you're right about that.
I mean, Ethan's definitely a guy that likes the attention. Don't get it twisted. Like I'm hoping that he can do a little bit of both because he likes hanging out with those sort of B-list, C-list celebrities. And I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with that as long as it's not a distraction from the field.
We shall see because AJ Stewart is on his heels. And if he does that, we're going to see a quarterback change.
Very possible.
And my number 3 biggest key is time of possession. Rutgers needs to control the ball. They need to play hard-nosed style, hit you in the mouth. Because let's be honest, against Ohio, against a lot of these smaller teams, you could get away with not having the ball a long time. But against Penn State, but against Ohio State, against Oregon, against these prolific offenses, you need to control the time of possession. You need to run it and show that they could stop your run game. And it sets up the play action. Rutgers needs to become that smash mouth, physical, get in your face, take your lunch, and you're going to like it. Time of possession. Drill it home.
I agree 100% with you because our defense does not have the depth to be on the field too long, especially against those explosive offenses. So you're right on the money.
See, on the opposite side of it, though, like we need to control time of possession, but against defenses like Iowa and Ohio State, Penn State, I know they lost, they lost Abdul Carter, but like that's still an amazing defense. Against those amazing defenses, we need to make sure we can get the big plays because it's going to be nearly impossible against those defenses to control time of possession because if we don't go get a 40-yard, 50-yard pass or a breakaway run or a pick six, they're going to make us pay by either getting us 3 and out or they're going to put up 40, 50 points on us. So we need to have those explosive plays against those amazing defenses.
And this is one neither one of you brought up, but I thought it's worth mentioning. And for me, it's a big key to success for Rutgers and a lot of teams. Conditioning, braving the conditions, being prepared for any and all weather. Let's say one day you go down to when you all play at Happy Valley, when you play Penn State, it could be raining, or in Piscataway, it could be raining. It could snow in Iowa. Could very well happen, or it could be a mud game. Condition and brave the weather, prepare for anything. Do wet ball drills, do snowy ball drills, do whatever you can to prepare yourself and condition for the weather and get your body and mental condition.
Yeah, that's true in the fourth quarter. They've got to be a team that is fresh in the fourth quarter, and they've got to be a team that can play under any conditions so that they don't lose the turnover battle.
Yeah, see, the reason why I didn't say anything like that, and you're right, Austin, it is definitely a key. But the reason why I didn't say anything is because although it's not always apparent, it should be a given that should not be an advantage. There are instances where it is, but realistically, that should be something that you learn how to control, hopefully by high school.
Yeah, but unfortunately,
well, and let's be Well, and not to cut you off, Adam, but let's be honest. If you've ever thrown a football out in the rain, it can get pretty slippery sometimes.
Yeah.
Like sometimes when you snap it, even if you have gloves on, you still lose the handle. That's why you see a lot of coaches do that. And I know, as you said, Gabe, it should just be a normal every off-season thing to prepare. But some teams struggle at more than others. Like, because Athid could be one of those quarterbacks that throws 3 picks when the weather's bad. Not to jinx you guys, but it could happen.
I mean, and again, he played at Minnesota for 2 years, so it hopefully is past him.
Well, we saw that against when Alabama played Michigan in the ReliaQuest Bowl. Jalen Milroe with those turnovers in in rainy weather. So it's definitely a critical factor, and I think that's something certainly that belongs on the list.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And number 5 for me.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Gabe. My bad. Go ahead, Gabe.
All good. I was going to say, you would think that these things like conditioning or adjusting the weather would be automatic. But, like, for example, I know this is D2 football, but it's still football nonetheless. When I was in Michigan, I would go to weekly press conferences for Northern Michigan University in the Upper Peninsula. It was part of my sports job for ABC in Marquette, Michigan. And what he said the first week of football was, I got to get these guys in shape. Now, you wouldn't think that would ever be an issue in college football because they're there on a scholarship and these guys are trying to dream bigger. You know, for D1 guys, we got to make the NFL. But for D2 guys, we got to get to D1. So you wouldn't think that would ever be an issue, but it's crazy. I mean, in basketball, you think these guys can just run in shape, but in football, all the drills you do, the different ways you have to be in shape, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And my number 5 key, and this one here is a big one, is have a strategy. Be breaking the game down in your head as it goes. So let's say, for instance, Rutgers is down 15-12 to Iowa, and it's 4th and 1, and they want to go for it. Shiano should be able to look at the call sheet. Shiano should already have a plan for that. Are we going to run the ball? Are we going to play action? Have a strategy ready. Be strategically ready. Oh, we're going to go for 2. I've got a play for you. Here we go. Oh, if we get to this situation, let's do this. Be strategically ready for anything.
I agree.
4th and 1, what's your go-to for this team?
For me, if the run game...
Both of you.
Okay, go ahead, Adam.
My number 1 thing is culture and mindset.
Oh, no, I meant like 4th and 1. What are you doing?
Oh, 4th and 1?
Yeah.
I'm telling my offensive lineman, if you can't get 1 yard for our running back, then you don't deserve to win the game.
Yeah, it's not inches. It's a full yard. But still.
Yeah, well, if you can't get 2, then you don't deserve to win the game. And I challenge him, and I'd say play smash mouth football and play this play like it's the last play you're ever going to play.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. For me, I don't disagree with what you two are saying, but I have a play. I would say run a fake toss, and you can maybe run Athid to the outside if the outside's open, or maybe run a fake jet sweep, act like you're still holding it, and then quickly, and then throw it to the outside on a screen.
Risky.
If you
know what
got
I like?
one-on-one.
You know what I like? I mean, I would never set up my offense in shotgun formation on 4th and 1, but it's a shame because what I would do is drop back, shotgun, set hike, catch the ball, run straight up the middle if I'm Nathan. But obviously, you'd never be in shotgun on 4th and 1. So
see, I'm old school. I don't believe in shotgun 4th down. What I believe in is running straight at them and beating them face to face. Run straight at them and say, "Our guys are better than yours."
I'm not a huge fan of running wide when it's 4th and 1 because it just gives the defense more time to get to you.
Yeah, look what happened when Texas played that against Ohio State in the bowl game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Or I would say if you have the advantage, throw a fade to the outside. Because I've seen a lot of teams do that, where they'll line up under center and throw the fade. Because you're most of the time, 90% of the time, you're going to get that one-on-one. And that's another version of my guy versus your guy for the game. Let's see who's really better.
And I mean, I have faith in our offense. The only thing is we don't have the solidified number one option on offense. So you would have to go towards their weaker corner.
Yeah, I also think the fade is a bit risky. I've always thought, hey, it's like a 50-50 ball, but you could argue that so is running straight at the defensive line when they have 8 in the box. So, we'll see how it plays out.
Mm-hmm. And I agree with you, Adam. I mean, I would say the 50-50, it is a 50-50 ball. That's what I think what a lot of people forget. It's designed that you trust your guy more than they trust theirs. And I would also say this too. What about a double reverse on 4th and 1? Get misdirection going. I know sometimes that backfires. There's other times it breaks free.
Yeah, but it's
dangerous.
I feel like it's more likely that you get stopped than it is for you to break away. So would you rather have an 80% chance of converting the 4th down, but you're guaranteed 1 or 2 yards? Or would you rather a 30% chance of getting a 4th down, but like a 10% chance of getting a touchdown? That's kind of how I look at it. And, like it may be a little windy, but I'm taking the 4th down. I'm taking the conversion.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you guys this, since we're on this topic, and then I got a couple more things I want to ask you. So 4th and 10, what kind of player are you all drawing up for Rutgers?
First thing that came to mind was, and they should never do this in a million years, is a wide receiver run, but then instead of running, they throw the ball back to Ethan.
I'm running a go route. I'm running a go route and throwing it up, and I'm hoping he catches it or for pass interference.
Ethan, you got hands, buddy? You trying to catch the ball on 4th and 10?
So, Gabe, you want to run a Philly special?
Not quite Philly special because it's just a direct snap to Mr. I'm going to say DT. I feel like the slot wide receiver usually has the best.
Yeah, and don't give him any credit for being near Philadelphia. I mean, he grows up near Philadelphia, but he hates the Rocky movies, so you can't give him any credibility.
Excuse me, you're putting words in my mouth.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying like it is.
When did I say I hate the Rocky movie? My dog is named Rocky because of the movie.
You've never mentioned them.
My dog is named Rocky because of the Rocky movie.
That's what he says now, but he hasn't said that in any other episode.
Fun backstory to that. My dog is named Rocky, and he had a twin sister named Jasmine. She was named Adrian at first because of the Rocky movie, but we just thought Adrian does not work on a dog, so we just changed it.
No, he doesn't like the Rocky movies. He worships people from New Haven and Zero Stars from South Jersey.
I wish sometimes you would listen to my stories and be like, hey, that's a pretty unique story. Good for you, Mr. Pickup.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
and
I was about to compliment you, but you weren't patient.
Okay.
Impatient boys sometimes miss dessert.
All right. Well, I'm getting 50% of the house, all right?
No, he does like the Rocky movies. I'll give him credit for that.
Mm-hmm. But
yeah.
The thing I want to ask.
8th and 4th and
10. Go ahead.
He's catching it.
So he's not going to Tom Brady it.
No, he's going to Nick Foles it.
Worst day of my life as a Cowboys fan, but I digress. Anywho, so last couple things I want to ask you, and this has that I want to ask you about this topic is analytics. How do we feel that's going to play a part in Rutgers' keys to success? Because analytics is becoming more and more of a big thing. It's becoming more of a trend in college football and NFL. The analytics, whereas typically, Gabe, you may kick the extra point down 20-6 instead of when it's 20-12, you may kick the extra point, say, or 20-11, and kick the extra point, and you got an 8-point game and go for 2 later on. Or some coaches would go on and go for 2 right there, knowing if they don't get it, guess what? Now you're down 2 scores. You got to go score twice. How do y'all feel that's going to factor in for Rutgers?
I don't like it. I think that it makes things too complicated for Rutgers specifically, and I can see it backfiring on this team.
I tend to agree with Gabe. Analytics has its place, certainly, in some contexts. But, look, at the end of the day, you got to look at the players on the field because analytics don't take into account the individual factors in a specific situation. And you got to look at the players on the field. That's why sometimes I get angry at like Major League Baseball managers. You got a pitcher who's pitching lights out for 7 innings, but he can't go out in the eighth because he's got 106 pitches, and analytics say he's going to get no. Look at what's going on in the field, and look at your people before analytics.
See, as a Mets fan, I don't know. Matt Harvey wanted to go out in that 9th inning really badly, and they let him
You
out.
know what killed the Mets yesterday, Gabe? I'll tell you what killed the Mets yesterday.
Here we go with this yesterday talk. I'm talking about the World Series.
The manager put in this fool who was throwing 100 miles an hour but doesn't know how to pitch. He just throws the ball as hard as he can and couldn't find the place. Yeah, whatever his name is. He was terrible.
He's been great all year. He just had a bad outing.
Oh, yes, of course. He's just throwing the ball as hard as he can. He's not even pitching.
Whatever.
And here's the thing, too, guys. Another thing that's interesting to me, what do we think about going for 2, going for the win kind of thing? Because analytics is leaning that way, too, because let's say for instance, you're tied at down 1, and the analytics will tell you 88% of the time you should go for 2.
Yeah.
What do y'all think about that?
That's where analytics goes wrong.
Depends.
It depends on what team you're playing against, whether you're home or away, and what the momentum of the game is at that point, and where your personnel is at that point in terms of injuries and freshness. So analytics doesn't take into account all that stuff. And
I think as a fan, I prefer going for 2 because I don't want to root for a team in an overtime period and have my heart beating for another 15 minutes more than it should be. I think as a fan, just get it out of the way, win it in regulation, lose it in regulation, whatever. But when you look at it from the point of view, just kick the extra point, send it to overtime, give yourself a 50-50 chance.
And here's the thing, and this is about ready to tick Adam off here in a minute, what I'm about ready to say, because I'm sure he's going to be in from USC. Get ready, Adam. Here it comes. So we all remember the game in Salt Lake City, Utah and USC, the year USC went to the Pac-12 title. With a Pac-12 title game and lost to Utah twice, which my extended family, they're all Utah fans, so they were happy. But
they're all Mormons.
If Utah doesn't give,
they're all polygamists. I love the Mormons. Polygamists.
Anywho, but if Utah doesn't convert that 2-point conversion,
I do not take responsibility for that statement.
Look, what is that? What I said?
Yeah.
I love the Mormons. I love the Mormons, quite frankly. I have a lot of friends who are Mormons, great people, in all honesty. And I like the polygamists, too, because they get it. They get it. You don't have to choose just one person. You can have your cake and eat it, too. Gabe, why aren't you
Get it a little louder? Grace, did you hear what he said?
Maybe you should back me up, Gabe, instead of being a jerk on the show. He's been insulting me the entire show.
Gabe, listen.
I think I got someone
You're
on my side
already
here.
But anywho, back to the point.
You believe that shit? No class.
No class. But anywho. Back to the point.
Oh.
Anywho.
Okay, Gabe, pick up.
All right, now.
His pickup dates are very good, actually. I give him credit.
Let's not spiral out of control here.
Yeah, Gabe's pickup game is good too. But anywho, but back to the point, and then I'll get out of your all's hair here. That Utah game, if Utah doesn't get the 2, USC's undefeated the rest of the way, and would only have 1 loss, and still could make the college football playoff. That's what analytics has done to our sport. It could change a season on a dime. And for Utah, it propelled them into the Pac-12 title game, and it single-handedly cost USC a playoff spot.
Well, that's why I said, analytics does have its place. But look, we hire coaches for a reason. We hire coaches to coach, not to look at a sheet of paper and say, this is what I'm supposed to do. If that were the case, then me and Gabe could be head football coaches right now. I mean, really, you got to coach. You got to use judgment in the situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I agree with you, Adam. And thing is too, Gabe, you know this better than anybody being a Jets fan, and this is not to pick on you. How many games could the Jets have won if they had gone for 2, or how many
0.
times would the Jets 0?
Yeah,
As
I don't
many as the
know.
Giants, 0.
Not many games of the Jets went to overtime.
But I that's one of the things where, as far as analytics go, it's very interesting. Or where it's about kicking the field goal, where typically us as people will be like, kick the field goal and be down 3, but they'll say 4th and 1, go for it, and then they don't get it, and then they lose the game, and then you're like, why? That's what irritates me. But as far as keys to success go, the analytics is definitely something to keep an eye on for Rutgers, because Rutgers could have to go for 2 to win it against Oregon and Piscataway, for all we know.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the more interesting analytics is, when do you go for it if it's 4th and 1, 4th and 2, and you have 3 points on the board? And to me, that answer, unfortunately, is most of the time for Rutgers, because of the fact that we have a different field goal kicker than a kickoff kicker and a punter. Why do we have 3 different people kicking the football? And that tells me that we don't have that as a strength. So we need to go for it every time that the analytics say we should. It's just the 2-point conversion I don't believe in unless you need to tie the game.
I agree with Gabe.
And and here's the thing too, and the last one I wanted to bring up, and this is kind of interesting, is we talked about all this, but more importantly, and you brought this up, I believe, Adam. I don't know if you did or not, Gabe. More than likely, what it all comes down to for Rutgers is, can they win the turnover battle? Because you turn the ball over 2-3 times. Adam, I thought I heard that right. If you turn the ball over 2 or 3 times, you may be able to get away with it against a lesser opponent. But you turn the ball over 2 times against a Penn State or Ohio State, you're down 14-0 within a blink of an eye, and all of a sudden your game plan almost goes kaput out the window.
Yeah, that's part of the risk. But I think Rutgers this year needs to be taking some risks to compensate for what I think is some talent disparities.
Against those really good defenses, unfortunately, you're going to have a lot of risks being taken, and it's going to have your heart stop for a bit. But that's what's going to win us those games, is those long balls, because we're not winning time of possession against Iowa.
And another thing is too, is I want to ask you this, is what is successful season for Rutgers for you guys? 8-9 wins?
Yeah, I mean, successful would technically be going in the right direction, which would be 8 wins or 7 and a bowl win.
I tend to agree with him. If I was Coach Shiano, my message would be, here's our expectations. Our expectations are to win every game.
Yep.
Every game we play. And
Yes.
from a home perspective, I would say 8 wins would be a successful season. I do agree with Gabe. 7 wins and a bowl win would also be a successful season, leading into the magical 2026 season, which is going to be something special.
Yeah, because last season was technically a regression, because we went 7-6 last year and the year before, but in 2023 we won the bowl game. Last year we lost despite putting up 41 points.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So my
and here's the thing.
Improvement. That's it.
Mm-hmm. And I don't disagree with you all. Heck, even if y'all lose all 3 of the big games and go 9-3 and win your bowl game, I would still consider that a successful season.
That would be huge.
It may.
Iowa, we beat Washington. We beat Nebraska. That would be awesome.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Have that mindset of we're going to. And Rutgers is going to be whoever they play in the bowl game. Have full confidence. Just like Gabe, you have confidence that the Knicks are going to win it all.
Oh, I'm here just to have a good time. I'm happy to be here. I want to beat the Pacers. That's my only thing right now.
I think the Knicks beat the Pacers. I think the Knicks defeat the Pacers in 6.
If we lose to the Pacers and have no excuses for it this year, that would be heartbreaking.
So, Gabe, you're not going to like my take on this, but I did a video on these series, and I predicted the Pacers in 5.
In 5?
Now who's screaming? Now who's
We just-
ranting?
We just handled the Celtics easier than the freaking Pistons.
Here's the thing, Gabe. Not to go all NBA on NBA, but I will put this piece out here and I'll put this out here and then we'll let it rest and then we'll resume to our headquarters. But I feel but I feel like styles make fights.
Yeah.
And I feel like Indiana will run New York out of the building with their speed. Tyrese will be pushing the pace, and I don't think the Knicks are built for this. They're not meant for this. This, to me, screams Pacers in 5. This is their series to win.
They're not going to win in 5. But my thing is, what I am afraid of is when they get hot, they're freaking unstoppable. We saw those runs they had against the Cavs, even when the Cavs had every player on the floor, and there's no stopping those 17 points in 3 minutes.
I predict Reggie Miller averages 25 points a game.
You know, Reggie Miller is commentating every game in the series.
He should be playing.
He should not be commentating every game. Him and Stan Van Gundy are unbearable.
I agree with you there.
They're the two worst commentators in basketball.
And here's the thing, and a little history, Noy. Gabe, you all, the Knicks and the Pacers, will be the last ever series broadcasted on Turner Station. You should be proud of that in yourself. A classic rivalry for one of the greatest networks in history. What a way to end it.
Yeah. I'm excited.
And here's the thing,
too. That NBC coverage, because they got a lot of good I'm honestly more excited for the NBC coverage than I am sad about TNT coming to an end, because Mike Tirico commentating basketball games is going to be a treat, especially without Chris Collinsworth moaning in his ear after every play.
Oh, gosh. Which it's kind of funny.
Coverage, Michael Jordan on coverage, Carmelo Anthony on coverage.
Michael Jordan's at a casino somewhere.
What's that? Michael Jordan?
And it's at a casino.
Yeah,
but it's funny, though.
With the Hornets.
Oh, gosh. But I hope for Rutgers, too, you all get to experience the NBC at night. Hopefully you'll get to hear, I forget, Todd Blackledge and Noah Eagle at night. Hopefully Rutgers will have a night game. Hopefully in New Jersey. Hopefully, because that'll be an experience. But, Gabe, bookmark it. Pacers in 5.
Nope. Zoop, took it out of my favorites.
Listen here, Gabe. No need to be a sour loser just because the Knicks are going to be in Cancun with the Nuggets soon and Adam's going to be the winner. No need to be a sour.
We got some players that prefer the sticks of Kentucky. You might be seeing Mitchell Robinson by your local supermarket.
Oh, what a horrible thing to say.
What a horrible. You know what, Gabe? Next week, I hope they kick you off this network for that.
You were saying I'm your favorite a couple weeks ago, man.
He has been so mean lately. I don't know what's happened.
You felt bad for me. Then you realized I had a sense of humor, and now you're all up my buttocks.
He's hanging around with the wrong crowd.
Yeah, come on, man. No, not
but in all seriousness, though, guys, it's always fun to chit chat with you. Gabe, enjoy your commentaries always. I don't take nothing too hard, and plus, don't take. Go for it, Gabe.
By the way, I'm saying this in advance because he's not going to, but Jokic should have won MVP.
Yeah, I agree, but
I agree.
We can't live in the past.
No.
And it's just like Adam. Adam should have won. Adam should have won Broadcaster of the Year, but we can't mourn in the past. And you should have won Best You should have won Best Broadcaster, Adam, and Gabe, you should have been co-broadcaster, but we can't mourn in the past.
He's the play-by-play guy. I'm the color commentator.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even though
exactly.
He started the show today. I started the show today.
And he did a fine job starting the show. We have good chemistry.
Yeah.
Yes. Adam's got that obnoxious New Jersey sense of humor, and Gabe, you compliment it with that Southern Philly politeness. It balances out.
I'll take that as a New Yorker.
Well said. And he does like the Rocky movies, for the record.
Thank you.
Yes. Gabe's an all-around good guy. He's an all-around good guy, and he deserves the Knicks to win, even though they're going to get their butt kicked. But with that being said, appreciate you all as always.
Thanks, Austin.
I'll take underwear
You
over
are
automobiles. So I got Knicks in 6.
Gabe. You know what? I'm gonna buy you a Pacers jersey if they win.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Slow your roll. I am not wearing a Pacers jersey, but it sounds like he lost internet. So adios, amigo.
All right. Well, it's always great having Austin on the show. Austin, thanks so much for being here. Always great conversation. One of our great callers. We appreciate it. Gabe, any final thoughts before we adjourn for today?
Honestly, he is the GOAT caller. We need to start up a Mount Rushmore of calling, guys. If you want to be on that Mount Rushmore, tune in next week and give your opinions on this Rutgers football team, college football, and life.
Yeah, guys, and if you like the show, hit that like and subscribe button. Austin, you're already on that Mount Rushmore of GOAT callers. So great show. We'll be seeing you guys here next Monday at 7 p.m., but we may be here before then. So stay tuned. And as always, go Scarlet Knights.
Go Scarlet Knights. Adios.